Good day. Twin Force Fusion here. And before I start, I just want to give a warning that I may swear because I'm still very happy and I'm just a man with a big smile. All that work paid off so far. So what I'm going to be showing you are dyno graphs for the 2018 Ford Fusion Sport. Those who saw my last video, if you don't see it yet, go stop this one, go see it, the other one before, because this one just picks up from there. Last time I had the dyno with very small bolt-ons, like a throttle body, K&N filter, basically stock dyno, and I use the Liver Noise Motorsport Stage 3 version 6 and did a comparo, and obviously we saw a huge improvement, especially towards the end of the RPM. I installed the Garrett front mount intercooler yesterday, and immediately you see the difference. But you know, you reserve your impressions. I'm like, oh wait, I'll confirm. And talking to friends, I told them I should have at least 25 plus. But to my surprise, it's a lot more. And the more I look at the graph, the more it's starting to look like a dyno from a F-150 with the 2.7 with a tune and all that. So let's start. I'm going to start with the... let's start with... There you go. The... tune versus tune with and without the intercooler. Now, I don't know if you could see this, but the gains are super impressive. If you look at this lower bar, that's the engine horsepower, and this one here, that's the engine torque. This is with the tune, with the little bolt-on, and this is with the intercooler, and same thing with this dark one. So if you look at peak numbers, what I had before, I had 372 horsepower and 405 torque. If you remember last time I had colors in the sheet, that's what I had. Now today we're at 432 horse and 451 torque. That's peak gain versus peak. It's 60 horse and 45 torque. But I'm telling you, if you look under the curve here, and that's what my impression yesterday when I was driving it. You got here, let's say, you got like 180 pounds of torque. Let's say at 2600 RPM. The increase on the bottom is massive. The horsepower, the same thing. If you look, let's say at 26, you'll have this with like 82, 85-ish horsepower gain here. It narrows down here, but you more gain here. If you look at the 6200 RPM, you got 2, 4, 6, 60, 70, about 70 horsepower more. And it keeps climbing. I don't know if you remember the factory. That's the factory line. Without the tune, it used to drop down. Here, you could see it drop down. And that's what it was. Now, for those who have the question, look, I don't want to put a tune, but I would love to put an intercooler. Well, this is the graph. Never mind this one here. This is the wheel horsepower. And on this one, per se, it's at 280 something. Do you get this? Well, let's say more than, correction, maybe like 270-ish. But never mind, we'll see the engine horsepower. You could see when it goes up, I think the stock tune detects something, maybe limits the power, but then say, okay, let's go again, and it drops. That's the problem with the factory tune. The power seems to drop. It comes off somewhat strong, but then it tapers off. But let's say you want, I'll give you the numbers. if you just put the Garrett intercooler, and don't forget, this Garrett intercooler is maximized because I use the BBK 65mm. That is sure it helps a lot more now than it used to. Plus the colder plugs. I have the NGK one-step colder plug with the MSD coils. For your info, Gearhead have a dyno that they did dyno those coils, the MSD blaster coils. And same thing, I think they put one colder step on a F150. And if you go on their dyno, you see gains up to 8 wheel horsepower towards the end. I think the peak was 6 wheel, but you do lose a bit at early on. But with all the torque there is at the beginning, I would not be worried about it. And for those who are curious about the information about the Garrett and Vibrant information that Ultimate Performance has, now in the forum there's these graph here that he explains Vibrant was this, whatever, but it'd be too hard for me to explain this, so I'll just carry on with the power of factory. If you have a factory car, the engine itself pushed last time 323 and 368, 323 horse, 368 torque. I know it falls short from what it claims, but it's a Mustang type dyno, so it reads about 2% lower than an engine dyno. Even if it does the conversion, it reads a bit lower. Now, for disclosure, we did the rotational mass test again, and it was exactly the same from last time, so nothing changed. So those numbers are dead on. The only difference, it's a temperature. Last time it was 77 degrees Fahrenheit, and now it's 71.6. But that's nothing. It won't affect much. It will help, but not in the way that the intercooler did. So let me go back for the power OEM. Let's say you have an OEM, no tune. You decide to do the throttle body and front mount intercooler. Your numbers will jump from 323 horse to 363. That's gain of 40 horsepower. And your torque will jump from 368 to 414. So that's a huge jump also. So that's like a 75-ish torque gain. I wish I had the dyno, the factory dyno, but believe me, it's a lot bigger than it was. And but here I'll show you a dyno. This is the factory, like completely factory, except again for disclosure. All these are on 94 octane, by the way. And this already has a K&N panel filter and the BBK throttle body. That's what I have there. But you could see the difference. Here you have, again, like I mentioned, about 360 some torque, 368 torque. And now you're at 451. See the peak versus peak. And the horsepower, look at this screen. Look how insane it is. At 6,000 RPM, you have, this is the horsepower right here. This one here. And this is the new horsepower. So you're looking at like 130 horsepower more at 6. I'm telling you, it pulls like a freight train. It just pulls and pulls. Yesterday, that was my impression. I'm like, this is insane. Like, I have a smile since this morning, but I already had a smile last night. So as we sit out, my engine right now is rated at 432.5 horsepower and 451.2 torque. And this gentleman, it's having an intercooler from Ultimate Performance. I'm sure Matt Triplett will be super happy about this news. And another thing that's I noticed right away, the instant torque. Obviously, the graph doesn't lie. You feel it like, oh wow, there's no lag, nothing. And it's not just that when you give it gas and you let go the gas, usually, you know, you'll go psh, because the blow off and the engine will taper off. But now when you let go the gas, like there's like a surge, like the engine still wants to go. So that's the only thing you'll notice right away. Regarding the mounts, if you decide to do tune plus front mount intercooler, and on top of that the downpipes, I'm telling you right now, have a budget set aside. You will need those mounts. Just with the tune on a sticky track with the boost launch, I opened one of those top engine mounts like a can of tuna. So I did those yesterday. Very happy that I did it, so I don't have to worry about it anymore. But rest assured, you'll need to do those. If you just like drive normal and once in a while do a pull, highway pull, I think you'll be all right. But even if they look massive, those mounts, they are weak and flimsy like hell. I'm telling you right now. See the video that I posted yesterday? Very short, I think. Just go see it. You'll understand what I mean. So, video is getting too long. If you have questions, go ahead. I have a shitload of more sheets. It's just I cannot show all of them here. It's hard for me. And I have one with all the dyno pulls that I did since day one. And it's like, there's way too many lines to be shown. So, I hope you're happy with this information. At the same time, I want to say thank you to Liver Noise Motorsport. Thank you for Ultimate Performance so far. I'm still waiting for the down pipes. In no rush. I will do the same thing, same tests. Man, this thing, I was looking for 400 horse, 500 torque, but I already passed the horsepower expectation. And I'm only like 48 pounds of torque. So imagine that we'll be driving a Fusion maybe with 450 horse and 550 torque. How amazing is that? It doesn't show, no bling bling. It's all good. So take care, and I'm a happy man. Cheers.